Good morning, guys. It is so good to be able to spend time with you. Now, I know I've just said good morning. It is actually the afternoon. Really good to spend time with you. Now, I'd like you just to think about this question for a moment. I would like you to describe a successful person. I would like you to describe someone who you look at and say, wow, they've got it all. Okay, so have a quick think, stop the video and just discuss that for a minute. Okay, hopefully you're back and maybe you've had some of the same ideas that I had. Maybe someone who's successful has a great big car and a great big house and lots of money. Or maybe someone who is successful has lots of stuff, like has the new PS5 even before it's come out. Maybe someone who is successful is someone who has a great skill. Maybe they're really good at sport, or they can play a musical instrument or sing really well. Or maybe you were thinking a successful person is someone who has a lovely family or a job. Now, this morning, we're going to be thinking about what it is to be successful in God's eyes. Now, we've just thought about what it means to be successful in sort of the world's eyes, but what does it mean to be successful in God's eyes? Now, God doesn't use the word successful. He uses the word blessed. Well, Jesus says this. Let me read it to you. Matthew chapter 5. What does it mean to be blessed? What does it mean to be successful in God's eyes? Now, when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Jesus says in order to be successful in God's eyes, we need to be poor in spirit. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, here is my school bag. Now, what would you expect to find? This is my work bag, but what would you expect to find in a school bag? If you've got a school bag, what would you expect to find in it? Maybe you'd expect to find some of last week's sandwiches or your packed lunch. Maybe find a pair of smelly socks that you use for sport, your books, your pencils, your pens. What else might you find in your school bag? Well, this school bag is actually empty. There's nothing in it. And this is to show us what it means to be poor in spirit. Those who are poor in spirit are empty spiritually. Now, that is so difficult to understand. What does it mean to be empty in a spiritual way? Well, it means that we come to God not with our hands full, like carrying stuff. We come to God with our hands empty. We come to God and realize we can bring him nothing. We have nothing good spiritually to bring to God. Blessed are the poor in spirit, are those who have empty hands. They're not full hands. So they don't come to God and say, "Hey, God, I am a great helper of others, and I give to charity." They don't say that, and they say, "Hey, God, this is what I bring." They don't do that. They don't come to God and say, "Look, here are my achievements. I got the most stickers this week in class. I should be okay with you because of that, shouldn't I?" They don't say that. They don't come to God and say, "I'm good at sharing. Let me into your family." No. They don't say, "God, look, I'm really kind to people." No, the poor in spirit come to God and say, "I don't have anything. I depend on you." Now, I just want you to imagine for a moment, you may have seen people who live on the streets who don't have anything, and they're literally begging, aren't they? They're putting their hands out and they're saying, "Please help. I have nothing." And this is what someone who is poor in spirit does before God. They go to God and say, "I have nothing to bring to you. Help me. I need you." Now, why is that type of person blessed? Why is that type of person successful? Well, did you hear what Jesus said? He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Blessed are the poor in spirit, because they have the kingdom of heaven. How did they get the kingdom of heaven? Well, let me show you. At the end of the sermon that Jesus gives on this mountain, he comes down and he meets a man. This is in chapter 8, verses 1 to 4. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy, which is a skin disease, came and knelt before him and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand, touched the man and said, "I am willing. Be clean." Immediately the man was cured of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them." Do you see, this man didn't come to Jesus with anything. In fact, he came to Jesus broken and in need. He had a skin disease. Now, skin disease would have meant, this leprosy would have meant that he couldn't go into the temple because he was unclean. He couldn't worship because of what was wrong. But he says to Jesus these amazing words. He says, "If you are willing, I know you can make me clean." And Jesus does something pretty amazing. He touches the man. Now, if you touch someone with this contagious leprosy, you'd catch it too. But Jesus doesn't catch it. He heals it. And he makes the man clean. And he welcomes the man to go back into the temple and show the priest and worship God. This is amazing. It shows us what it means to be blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Because this man came with nothing. He asked Jesus for everything. And Jesus said, "Yes, you can have entry into the kingdom. And you can have it through me." And that's the same for us. When we come to Jesus with nothing in our hands, we don't bring him nothing. We bring him our sin. We give him all our wrongdoing. And we say we have nothing good. In fact, we've got only bad things. And Jesus takes it on the cross. He dies in our place to take our punishment so that we can be forgiven and be welcomed into his family, into the kingdom of heaven. So successful are those who are poor in spirit because they know that they need God. They depend on God for everything. And because they depend on God for everything, God gives them the kingdom of heaven. It's brilliant news. So you're going to get to chat about that now, and I'll see you next week. Bye from Milton Keynes. God bless. Have a good rest of the meeting. Bye.